Alright, welcome back to another episode where we are creating a village simulation game. In the last episode, we got the villager to finally kind of go to a storehouse on its own. We had some issues with the grid still, and we kind of fixed that up. I now have an indication of the grid, kind of. Green meaning it's true. Red meaning actually green would be true. I mean, green is false and red is true, because red means we built something there. So that's all working. Yeah, we got the villager going. We can add a different task. And that was really kind of strange. All right. I'm clicking here. Okay, it was kind of doing some strange things there because it was just moving back and forth between different things. He's picking those up. He's going to add those to it. He's going to go chop that down. Let me go pick that one up. Chop that one down. Pick this one up. Pick this one up. We don't have any logic for it to be like, hey, what's the closest one? Notice I'm not doing any kind of pathfinding with the character, and I might not do any pathfinding. All right, what? Let's pause it for a sec. I thought I clicked on this. Okay. Let me push play. So now let's add to our stats of what we have as a village. You know, how do we do this? You know, what does a storehouse? You know, I don't know. Like, storehouse can just take general things. Like, you know, I haven't really thought too much about how to store it. If you think of a game like RimWorld, which, you know, this is kind of inspired a little bit by that, you're going to have a stockpile. And the stockpile says, okay, what can be stored in that stockpile? And the reason why you would do different stockpiles is for convenience of the character to go to certain locations. You know, maybe if you built a workshop, you would put a stockpile with, you know, the materials that would be used close to that workshop. So our storage units are what needs to hold these items. So how do we do that? How do we have it? I don't want it to store the game object. We could use like a number. We could use like a how do we want to do this? It kind of depends on where we want to go with our, for example, right now, if I go to my resources, I have a resource type called food. So, this is kind of, gotta kind of think about this a little bit, right? Resource type, resource amount. Well, like again, like if you think about like RimWorld, every item has a certain amount, and it actually shows up in the left-hand corner, I believe, of everything you have. And so, do I want to keep track of it that way? And then, if I do, how do I keep track of it? Like, how does the system know all the different types of resources? That's a good question. Very good question. I could literally type them all in this enum. So I could type in, changes to berry. I really don't want to do that. We could store yeah, I probably should put a little bit more thought into this, but this is fine. You can kind of get how I, kind of how do you have to kind of think a little bit how you want to do things, because I could do something like int food, for the storehouse. How much food does this storehouse? Int wood, int something else. It would be better to have something that has the actual resource. I could actually just do that, but where we have like a list of resources, we could do something like that. Let's do a new list. We could do that, have a keep, so that instead of destroying it, we actually add the resource to this. It seems unnecessary. Well, it kind of depends, right? We might want to, maybe there's a duration on these resources and they spoil after so long. I know in RimWorld that's kind of a thing where they spoil, and so maybe we don't destroy them, we just add it to the storage object. Let's just do that for now. It would be really nice to have a list of all the resources. Every unique resource, and then keep track of things that way. Let's see, let's go resource. We could do a public string resource name. Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And then maybe it checks the resource name, the string, and let's just do it this way for now. Let's add the storage. Let's go to our map manager, and so when we store something, instead of destroying it, object interactable, we want to storage object. Storage object is equal to interactable dot get component. Get the just see something real quick in my interactable objects. We have the interactable, so why don't I, instead of saying the, why don't I also send the interactable with it? Okay, and then go back to the map manager. So here, we're also going to send it the interactable. Let's say interactable 1. We want to change this to geo. We probably should do it here too. Change that to geo. So we know we are getting the game object. And then here we want to say interactable. And so we don't need to do that, but what we want to do is change this interactable cache it to the cache as a storage. Whoops, I'm doing this all wrong. I'm actually doing it right, but storage object. There we go. Cache it to that, so now we have a storage object. We could check to make sure that it was actually 1, but we're not going to destroy it. We are going to storage object dot add dot resource. Let's see, did I make that public? Nope. Yes I did. No I didn't. No, I don't want that. I want the store object. Yeah, we need this public. And let's go back to the map manager. So this is going to be dot resources dot add. Whoops. Do not mistype. Oh boy. Yeah, I do not mistype. Let's see, add add the character controller dot carry object dot get component interactable. No. Huh, it is an interactable, so interactable. And let's change it to resource. Okay. You know, just I get thoughts as I'm doing this about how maybe what I should have done was not used inheritances for these things. I should have just had a script called interactable and just add that as a component to any object, and then the game object would have, you know, you would do the script for that, and then the game object would have another script called resource. Or this one would have another one called gathered. But we'll just leave it like that for now. Okay, so that is adding. Let's test this out, see if it's adding those things. So let's build the storehouse. Let's click on here. Click on here, and let's add that. Let's pause it. Let's look at the storehouse. Resources, it added a berry. Okay, let's add all the berries to it. This might actually work pretty good. Maybe. We'll see. I just don't know whether there's a better way of doing this. Because we still have all of these berries. Okay, if I pause it, we have all of these berries here. And what if we have 1,000 of these berries? You know, with 1,000 berries, 1,000 wood, 1,000, and we have all of these in our scene that we really don't need because they are no longer here. That's kind of could be an issue, and we have 1,000 wood and 1,000, you know, of all these other things that we don't actually need anymore. That's why I'm not crazy about when really all we're doing is keeping track of. And again, like in RimWorld, you would have all of those objects, but maybe it clumps them together, so it makes them just one thing with a certain number attached to it, like a stack. So let's try to have a stack instead. Have a stack of these resources. So let's go to the storage object, and let's make a dictionary. And we're going to have a dictionary of strings. And we'll have a string and an integer. So we need to change this. And we're going to do new dictionary. Now, we got that. And so, when we add the map, when we add this, we want to first check if the resource is already in the storage. If so, add to the dictionary. Else, create new key and add resource amount. So what we're going to do is if the storage object dot resources dot contains key of this we're going to get a reference to this what the character is holding. So character controller dot carry object, right? We want to get component resource so if it contains the resource dot resource name. Okay. If it contains that, then we're going to say storage object resources dot resource. We're going to get the find the key. If you haven't used dictionaries before, basically there's a key and then there's a associated variable. And so we're just going to change this. So the key is the resource name, the variable is an integer, and we're going to just do a plus plus. And then we're going to do, and that's all we got to do. So it's going to add that. Else we want to say storage dot add. We want storage dot resources dot add. We're going to add this key. We're going to add this resource name to our dictionary, and the value is going to be 1. Okay. Whoops. So we're going to add the amount. If not, we're going to create the key. Alright. So that way we have, and then we want to say character controller dot, we actually want to destroy this. Now, there is something called object pooling. I'm not going to worry about it right now. But basically it kind of reuses assets. We're going to destroy that so we don't have it. Now let's see if this works. Let's go to our prefabs, because we need to set the berry's name. Let's see. Let's go here. Let's go to resources. It's a public string resource name. Public string resource name. But I am not seeing it. Do I have an error somewhere? Oh, just had to scroll down. Alright, we're going to say berry. Now, I don't know if there'll be a way to actually check that. Click the wrong button. That's fine. And pause it. Go to the storehouse. Yeah, there's no way for me to actually see that dictionary to actually know whether or not I have anything in my dictionaries. I don't think there is. That's the down. I'm in debug mode. I don't see. That is kind of the issue with dictionaries. I don't think they're viewable in the inspector, and I think you could create a custom editor, or maybe there's some other way of doing it. Let me just go to the store object. I don't think serializable would change anything. Whoops. If we're just get input, just do a little test here. Dot any key, sure. If we do any key, we want to how do you loop through a dictionary? For each dictionary iDictionary dot key. I don't know. Oh boy. I'm gonna try to loop through dictionaries. Not too sure. Alright, so I just looked real quick. You use this key value pair, the string and the int. So we're looping through the pair here. Basically, it's creating this resource pair. So we're going to say resource dot here we'll do debug dot log the resource key with the resource dot value. So that's how you loop through dot to string. Okay, what's the problem here? Resource cannot convert int. Oh, don't do this comma. Plus that. Alright, let me save it. Let's go back to Unity. Alright, let's play. Let's go to our console. Just clear everything. Let's just any key, right? Oops, didn't want to do that. Ooh, that's not good. Blah, 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 blah. It does not have an interactable. Alright, we'll fix that in a sec. Let's go to, just focus on what, you shouldn't be clicking the storage house. Let's click here. Let's click here. Let's clear this. You see? Bury one, bury one. Because I click anything was click. So bury one. Alright, let's just test this out. Alright, let's go here. Let's see if we get bury 2. Bury 2. So, yeah, and now we don't have a bunch of objects, and so we have the resource name and the amount of that resource in our storage house. Now this would not allow us to keep track of quantity, or not quantity but quality. So like if the berries could spoil, it wouldn't allow us to do that currently, because I don't have a reference to anything. I mean, we would have to maybe set up something, you know, where we could keep track of, you know, spoilage. But we'll get to that later. Let's test this out. Let's create a new resource type. So let's do this. We'll just drag this into the scene real quick. We're going to unpack it. And let's add a berry as well. Let's unpack this berry. Let's name it to wood. So this resource name is going to be wood, and the type is wood, which, you know, we might not need these types anymore. Might not matter, but well, we might change from wood and stone to like building material instead. Let's change the color of the sprite to, yeah, change it to that. Okay, and then let's unpack this. Actually, let's save it there. Let's delete. Let's change this, unpack this one, and we're going to name it tree. And let's change the color to a brownish color. That's good. And let's change the resource to the wood. Resource type. I don't know if we need this anymore. Let's play. Here, let's. This says prefab, and let me go to my map manager. Interactable prefabs. We add a bush. Let's add a tree. Okay. And then in our map manager, where we're testing out our map, just copy this, paste this. Let's change this to 5. Let's change this to 5. We'll say 4. So that will add. Let's do number 1. Again, this is all for testing. It's what you wouldn't normally do, but just test out and get some trees. So let's add a storehouse. Let's add that. Let's pick up the. Let's chop down a bush. Let's get that. See, why didn't it? See how it just stopped? It moved to it, but then it didn't complete the task. There is no task. Click here. Alright, that's kind of weird. Alright, some bugs we got fixed. Let's just test this out. Take the wood to the storehouse. Go to my console. Let's just clear everything. So wood is 2. So okay. What happened was some of these things are spawning on top of each other. So it chopped down a tree, but there was maybe another tree behind it. It dropped the wood. I clicked the wood. I actually ended up clicking the wood. It picked up the wood. It took it to the storehouse. So there's actually like 2 trees on top of each other. That's what I'm assuming happened. So let's click here. Now we're going to see if it. Alright, so you can see now we have 1 berry and 3 wood. Let's chop down some more stuff. Let's gather some things. See, there's 2 bushes here. That's why you don't see it. I know so because of my thing here, there's 3 berries, and so it's probably right behind the bush. Click here. It's probably going to pick up another berry, or after it gets the wood. Hasn't finished all of its jobs yet. See, picked up the berry. So we got 4 berry, 4 wood. Let me chop this down. Click that. 5 berries, 1 more tree. We'll get them all. Alright, so we have storage. We have a way for us to kind of store different resources and keep track of them. You know, maybe there's a better way of doing it, but this is what we have. So I think the next thing we want to do is use these resources for building. So certain number of wood, if we have it, we will be able to build that. And then what does that look like? You know, how do we do that? You know, how do we build something? How do we want to do it? Is it just as long as we have the resources? Like, does the villager have to go and get the stuff from the storehouse and then take it to the building site? Maybe we do that, and you know, they can only carry one thing at a time, so that you would actually see them going back and forth. You know, going back and forth from where we're trying to build something to it. You know, going there and placing the building material, taking it away from here and adding it to that build location, taking it from here and adding it to the build location. So I might put some thought into that, but thanks again for watching. Hope to see you next time.